Hello viewers. In a previous video I was going through some old containers, and in one of those containers I revealed I have my grandfather's police hat from when he was a police officer. He passed away in 1982. So this is old. I've had it for a long time. And when I opened it, and I've known this for a while, there seems to be some mold on the material, and was looking for a way to remove. I did some research and I learned to remove mold from, say, a hat, from the material of a hat. A toothbrush actually will work. And along with the toothbrush, a lint roller, which I don't have. So this is said hat. It's filthy. And it's actually not as moldy as I thought, but there's a few pieces of mold on it. And we're gonna try to, what's this? That actually seems to work. You can see, I'm afraid to hit this really hard. I don't want to rip it. But aside from the mold, the dust is coming right off. Look at that. It's interesting it has so much dust on it because it's been in this container easily 10 years. Maybe it wasn't really clean when I put it in the container. I don't remember. I'll try to rinse this off. Just imagine a little water won't hurt it. I'm just so fearful because the material is so old. Like this, it actually smells like basement. And while it was in a sealed container, it was on the shelf in the basement. And that basement is not smelly for the most part. But what I'm wondering is if the material itself is just absorbing smells or odors. My goal for this is, I've always said this, is to find a display case and put it inside of it. You know, and not to get all weird, but I just find with the deceased, if you will, you know, once they're, of course, you always talk about keeping their memory alive, but he's my grandfather, right? So if you look at it this way, my grandmother passed away just shortly after he did. I was 4. This is the early 80s. My sister, I have 2 younger sisters. One of them was 2 years old, so has no recollection. My other one was not even born yet. So they don't have any memories. And my mom, now in her 70s, you know, really doesn't ever really talk about them, you know, because it was just so long ago. And this is all before the internet, so it's not like they're immortalized by images and videos they've made on the internet. So like when my time comes, I have all this content out on the web, and hopefully my grandchildren and great-grandchildren can be like, oh yeah, that was my great-grandfather cleaning his grandfather's hat. So there is a digital footprint, is what I'm saying. But for people, and I guess that has really started with my generation, but for people before my generation, once their immediate generation ahead of them or after them is gone as well, or ages, there's, other than some weird pictures in that you find in a box somewhere, not weird pictures, but pictures you find in a box somewhere, that's really it. And that's unfortunate, right? And I sometimes struggle with that, like thinking about that, like once you're gone, like who's gonna remember you? I know this is a crazy conversation we're getting into, but instead of just silence and you staring at me cleaning this hat, I thought I would talk about something. Not that subject was my plan. So something like this, there's probably, you know, if he passed away in the early 80s, there's really not much, like, not that I'm talking about the physical item brings him back, but it, you know, it forces you to think. And there's really, other than kind of like these items, there's probably nothing else physically, at least on my side of the family. So he was my mom's stepmom, so I there's a chance on the other side there's some interesting things like pictures and whatnot. But other than that, that's it. I do have a couple photos with him in it, and my grandmother. And the irony was, oh, what happened is somehow my mom was tagged in the photo, or maybe I was joined the town Facebook page for where, you know, my grandmother used to live. I forget what it was, but a picture of him appeared in front of a cop car, which I have the same exact picture, and I couldn't believe it. So I reached out to the person who posted it and said, hey, you know, he was my, like, what he was to me was my step grandfather, and you know, I have that very picture. Like, I actually have the real picture, and I've also said I have his hat with his card in it and his gun holster. And depending on who the poster was, if it was his biological daughter or biological family, I was going to actually offer this stuff up and just say, you know, you should have it. But they never responded to me, and I sent them, I think I commented on the picture, and I might have even sent them a private message, because I thought, you know, if the shoe was on the other foot and someone offered me up something like that, I would just be like forever grateful. Good news by using this toothbrush is it means I get to use a new toothbrush tonight, because this is my toothbrush. I don't change my toothbrushes as frequently as they recommend, so any excuse to, I guess, do that. So I don't know how this is going to dry. Like, there's still some spots. And then there's all this. So what I might do is I have some very gentle cleaner. Very gentle cleaner that I may use on the, I guess this is leather. I was doing some research on his gun holster because that has mold on it too. And I came across a YouTube channel that focused on like leather, and they had leather, and they showed you how you can use lemon juice to remove any mold, and they explained that there's different kinds of mold. Like, the mold on your leather would be different than the mold on your bread in the refrigerator. So this doesn't look bad at all. It looks way better. So I'm going to try to get those leather surfaces, and I have, like I said, a very gentle cleaner to use. I think that's leather, or it might be something else. I'm kind of an I don't say an idiot, but like, I am an idiot. But in this case, I kind of just don't know what I'm doing, and I'm hoping I don't wreck anything. Yeah, look at that. Trying to make you fit for duty. Yeah, you can see this is wearing off. I had been like that for years. I literally used to play around wearing this thing when I was a kid. And what is even more amazing, I think what's more amazing is I had the wherewithal as a kid. I wonder if I should use the toothbrush there. I had the wherewithal as a kid that while I played around with it, I didn't like throw it around. And cause I knew that was like, once something like this is gone, it's gone. And I didn't want that to happen. But I'm telling you, I've lived in so many places, well, especially in recent years, but throughout my like kind of 20s until I got into my 30s and settled down. I mean, I lived in multiple apartments in New Jersey where I grew up. I moved to Florida for a while, so I had stuff in storage. I came back. I was splitting time between both my parents. Then I got an apartment again. Then I moved to an apartment in Massachusetts. Then I bounced around on Cape Cod a bit until I got my house. And that was all up until my early 30s. So that was quite some time ago. And yeah, this is really working. So it's just amazing how this kind of stood the test of time. Yeah, so I'm using like lukewarm water and just giving a little spritz to the toothbrush with this cleaner on this stuff here. And someone out there might be screaming at me saying, that's not how you clean that. Like, look, this is not like something that's going into the Smithsonian. Although I hear things are getting canceled out in there, which is a shame. But this is just kind of more of like a family, I don't want to say heirloom. It's more like a family, I don't know. Wow, that's really actually coming out really, really nice. And what I noticed is I'm going back over the toothbrush, it's not as dirty. Wow. I'm very pleased with this. Because as you know, like old stuff like this just disintegrates over time. Yeah, so those are actually, those look like staples that connect the inside. But you can see that's a little bit of mold there. Wow, toothbrush works great. That was a great tip. I wouldn't have thought to use a toothbrush on a hat. The inside's actually really good. Yeah, I don't see any issue with the inside. Still kind of has that original smell, or like the smell of it that I remember as a kid, not the basement smell. That kind of like went away. Wow. All right, I think this, you could see where it's a little damp from, but that's the color it's going to be. And I am pleased, very pleased. So if there's anyone out there, you can tell me I did this incorrectly, or maybe it helps somebody. So the next step is I have to get lemon juice for the gun holster. Yeah, it has, I showed in the other video, but it has is, so that's not my last name, but you can see that's not where I live either, or the town I live in any longer. really awesome. Really, really cool. I don't know what my grandmother was thinking when she handed it to me, but I do remember she was sick with terminal cancer at the time, gallbladder, which I think today, you know, it's not a death sentence. And I remember my mom and I came over there because my mom was kind of like her caretaker as she got really ill. She was only in her 50s when she passed. Seemed so young. And I remember my grandmother led me into her bedroom, and I actually can still see it in my mind. I was 4, for Pete's sake. I remember she led me in there. She opened the closet door. She reached to the top shelf. She grabbed that hat, and she grabbed the gun holster and said, I want you to have these. She's like, I can't take them with me. And I didn't really totally knew what that meant, and then it was explained to me like she's sick, like she can't, where she's ultimately going, she can't take it with her, and she wants me to have it. And I wonder if in 1982 she thought in 2025, like the 2025 must have seemed like, that's like me saying, oh, the year 2090. Like, you know, well, it's not really, but like it might as well be. It's just so far out there. You know, she would be very, very old if she was still with us today. And yeah, she would probably be what in her, do the math, I forget her exact age, but she'd be in her 90s for sure. But I wonder if she would have ever in her wildest dreams thought, when my grandson, who's standing here, who's 4 years old, is going to be 47 years old with this stuff, and he's going to be, you know, taking care of it and doing a YouTube video on it. YouTube video, what's that? Foreign language? So there you have it. This is like, this might just have made my day. I'll take a picture and send it to my mom. So the next project for the lemon juice, a little more involved, is the gun holster. You see that? I'm like touching the mold. I have to deal with that, but apparently lemon juice brings us back. All right, well, thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'm a happy individual. Thanks for chatting with me. Bye for now.